New York's population, okay, which was 2.8 times 10 to the 7, 2.8 times 10 to the 7, and this is the only answer in the back that was wrong, or not 2.8, but 2 times 10 to the 7, and we are dividing it by 4, Oregon, times 10 to the 6, and 2 divided by 4 gives us 0.5, subtracting 7 minus 6 gives us 10 to the 1, so it is not 4 like it says in the back, it is 5. And we would say New York's, they asked us, population is 5 times that of Oregon. So when you are looking at those, you want to tell me, writing a sentence, answering the question as you are looking at those. So number 3 was wrong in the back. It was supposed to be 5, not 4. So if you got 5, you were right on when you did that. Number 7 says, one side square of a microchip is this meters long, and it is this meters thick. What is the volume? Well, this is like telling us this is our area of it as we are looking at it. So it says one side of that square. So let's think of drawing a square microchip, right? So one side of the square is 3.45. That's right here. It's really small, right? Times 10 to the negative 5. This is the other side, 3.45 times 10 to the negative 5, because it's a square, right? So those two are the same. And then how far does this one go back? This one goes back 2.27 times 10 to the negative 9. Again, really small number. If I am finding the volume, the most common mistake is people thought they were only multiplying these two numbers. You need to take the square, 3.45 times 10 to the negative 5 times 3.45 times 10 to the negative 5 times 2.27 times 10 to the negative 9. So on your calculator, if you don't have a calculator, please get one out. We're going to take these three numbers times each other, okay? 27.01. When we are adding our exponents for our powers of 10, 10 to the negative 5, yep, that's a negative 5, negative 5, and negative 9, I'm going to add all those. So that's going to give me 10 to what power? You want to raise your hand? 10 to the negative, what should I have? Yeah. Negative 19. Okay? Now, when you looked at the answer in the back, it didn't have 27, right? It had, in scientific notation, 2.7. And could you have 0, 1, or could you just have 2.7? I would take either one, 2.70 or 2.701. But you could leave it as just 2.7 times 10. Oh, we're moving to the left. Lars, left means add. If I add 1 to negative 19, I get negative 18. Okay? When I add 1 to negative 19, because I moved it to the left one place. So this was the answer in the back. Please read the example.
In April 2011, an online social networking site had about 200 million registered accounts. In August of the next year, the site had increased the number of registered accounts to 3.62 times 10 to the 8th power. How many more users were there in August than in April?
So first off, how many times did it increase? So it increased the registered number of accounts to this number, right? So first off, 200 million, right? How does that look in scientific notation? Well, first, how does it look in standard form? 200 million looks like what? 200 with, how many zeros are we talking? 200 million. This is 200,000, right? This is 200 million. Does that make sense to everyone? So writing it out first, when you look at numbers on the test and you read something and you go, oh, write it out maybe in standard form. Now we're going to put it in scientific notation. In scientific notation, it would have been 2 times 10 to the 8th power, okay? So the different ways of writing, 200 million, standard form, scientific notation. it says, so that's how many there were in April, right? So we want to just kind of make sure we're understanding the problem. In August of that same year, so in August, we now have 3.62 times 10 to the 8th users, which would look like in standard form what number? 362 million, right? With all those 6 zeros behind it, right? Because these are both times 10 to the 8th. And it says how many more users, okay? So if we are looking at how many more users, add, subtract, multiply, divide. What operation am I looking at? Raise your hand. What do you think? What do you think, Lou? Subtract. So we want to take August, right? The 3.62 times 10 to the 8th, and we are going to subtract April, which is 2.0 times 10 to the 8th. When we add and subtract, the power stays the same. It's going to still be 10 to the 8th users. How many more users did we have? We're going to subtract. 3.62 minus 2 gives us 1.62. Could you leave your answer as this form? 1.62 times 10 to the 8th users. More users. Yes. Could you tell me, write it out in standard form and give your answer in standard form? For this one, I would take that, but for a lot of you, when you think about that, scientific notation would probably be best. But if on the test you wanted to write this as 162 and you even wanted to put 162 million, I would take that answer, right? Because it doesn't specify. I would take 162 written out this way also, right? So as we take a look at those. We'll look at this video kind of at the end in just a minute. But let's do this next problem down here. So when we are looking at this one, the mass of the Earth and the mass of the Moon, if we are looking at that, what is the combined mass? Combined, Patrick, means I am thinking of doing what?
Addition.
I'm going to do addition. So we are adding 5.97. Huge numbers, we're going to keep our answer in scientific notation. 10 to the 24th. When we add or subtract, what do we have to remember, Sam? Do we about our exponent powers? So 10 to the 22 and 10 to the 24. What do I need to make sure when I add? They have to be the same. And so we want to always go big, so we're going to put this one as 10 to the 24th. So it was 10 to the 22nd. We're now going to make it 10 to the 24th. If I'm making it 10 to the 24th, Olivia, what am I looking at instead of 7.34? 0.734. So you move the decimal, added 2 to the left 2. Nice job. That means we have those 2 zeros. That 2 to the left doesn't mean a decimal point 2 zeros. It means total of these 2 being 0. Our answer is going to have 10 to the 24th. Please, if you need, take out your calculators, or we're going to add those. Shouldn't be too bad to add them, right? When we are adding those two together. Caitlin, what are you looking at? 5. Careful. Did you line up your decimal point? 5.97 plus 0.0734. Did you add them on your calculator? Check it. I think you're off by 1. 6 point, what are we looking at, everyone? 6.0434, right? Because this 4, because you're adding 2 zeros up here if you're thinking of that. So 4 and 3, this became a 14, 9 became a 10. This was a 0. So as we are looking at that 6 point. So when we look at that, it says the question is asking us to put our answer in the most appropriate form. A lot of times what you might see, I would take this full answer. I also would take it if you just wanted to tell me 6.034. That doesn't sound right. 6 point, we're going to keep it as, this one as 6.04 if we are looking at that. 3. And if you wanted to go just a couple decimal places. So now the next question says, oh, well, how many times as great is the Earth than the Moon? this problem. What am I thinking? Why? What operation? How many times as great is the mass?
What?
Times as great. What operation am I thinking for times as great? What do I have to be doing? I'm comparing the Earth to the moon. Aaron, can you help them out? The whole project, you guys were doing this operation to try and find out maybe how you multiplied as you were looking at it. What am I doing with the Earth and the moon? Adam? Multiplying, adding, times as great. Division. Times as great. Anytime you see this, how many times as great as Earth than the moon? That means you're taking the Earth and dividing it by the moon. Okay? You will see this on the test. How many times as great is this city? How many times as great is this? You do not want to do multiplication. You do not want to do addition. So when you are taking a look at these, we want to take the Earth's population, or the Earth's when we were looking at it, which was mass, which was 5.97 times 10 to the 24th. And we are dividing it by the moon, which is 7.34 times 10 to the 22nd. On your calculator, what are we going to be doing? We are going to take the 5.97 and we are going to divide it by 7.34. what'd you have? 813. And I would say that that's enough decimal places back. Sometimes people will go another 3 when you look at that on your calculator. If I am looking at my exponents, Ashley Gabbert, what am I going to do when I divide with our exponents? Subtract. So 24 minus 22 gives me to the second power. This one, on the test, I do not want it in scientific notation. I don't want you to tell me it's 8.133 times 10 to the first. This is scientific notation, right? This, if I say how much bigger is the Earth's mass than the moon, I don't want you to say, oh, it's 8.1 times 10 to the first. This would be what in standard form? 81 times, so the Earth's mass is 81 times the mass of the moon. Yesterday, the question someone kept asking is, do I have to write all this down, that the Earth's mass is 81? Yes, that's what I'm going to be looking at as you answer the story question. When it talks about the density, like when we did the density of the grasshoppers, and it says how many grasshoppers per acre, you need to answer it with that type of a question as you are looking at that. Page 35, this is where you're going to find this. Page 35, we have 15 questions on our test. Our test is going to be Thursday of next week, okay? All those exponent properties. That's what we did the first half when we took that big quiz. Some of you came in and went over that quiz. So this was your first quiz that we took, right? So we have 36 points here that we are looking at. This next one that we can compare and write using scientific notation, there's going to be 14 points on that part. I'm going to give you those questions, and when you look at the question, I'm going to say, oh, here's the number in scientific notation, write it in decimal form or standard notation. Here's one in standard form, write it in scientific. Which of these is larger? So looking at not just your exponents as you would look at those. So those different problems of the 3, some are 6-point questions, some are 4. The last one is performing operations. There's 4 questions, 16 points. These are like all those story problems that we just went through. It's going to be all story problems. The operations, you have to decide. So the question, is this going to be on the test? All those story problems that we looked at in G11? Yeah, any of those type, and like the G11 worksheet, and then today, kind of the G12 that we are looking at. So when we are looking at that test is Thursday of next week, right?